This is all that you're going to get. This is, and so, and we were never in a place for long enough for me to get comfortable. Yesterday, I was listening to Pastor Tara Carissa Hodges, I believe is the hyphen. Tara Carissa Hodges, I think. Don't quote me on that, but she does have a Facebook page, and she's absolutely phenomenal. And you know, I was just listening to one of her do an interview, and she was talking, and in 2014, well, about 2015. I had just this overwhelming feeling of just, you know, I'm just so empty. This isn't what my life's supposed to be. I was dealing with a lot of stuff back then that I had no control over. And, you know, I noticed, I was like, gosh, these are patterns. You know, I was very just looking at everything that I'd gone through, and that, you know, okay, I know how to build. I know how to, after a crash. But I don't know how to thrive after, you know. I have ideas galore. I had notebooks, diaries full of all my ideas, and I was still just going through a loop. And I'd done so much work, and I couldn't pinpoint what it was. But I will tell you something. When I was so stagnant that I was actually contemplating suicide. I was like, I'm not living mediocre. Because I mean, it would be different if I felt like I was mediocre and that was going to be my life, but I don't feel like I'm mediocre. I feel that I was going through what I know is called divine discontent. I was not happy at all. And I was having to fight other toxic people, you know, and process their stuff and whatever. So that's what was on my mind. It's like, okay, I grew up in a narcissistic household. I grew up with that family, both sides. I didn't know my real mother, so I had yet to be introduced to that. But suffice it to say that repetitive compulsion. And it's because I was re-listening to this interview. I'd listened to it at least 3 or 4 times within the last 4 months. And children, when I was going through counseling, now counseling, because there's always something wrong with me, not my parents, not the teachers. You know, I need help. I have no problems with asking for help if I feel safe to do. We take on a lot. You know, if you grow up, like there's a guy here and he lives above me, and he induced a conversation with me, which is what people under the cluster B disorder do, induced conversation. And because he was flirting with me, and his way of flirting is to be a savage caveman and, you know, violate and rub up against your body and stuff like that, which is what he did. And it ticked me off to no end. I was like, you really don't know me. God's not finished with me yet. And I don't tolerate that type of violation at all. I mean, it's toxic. It's disgusting. So he had come to me a week later after he had violated my personal space, basically sexually harassed me is what he was doing. And he's, you know, has a girlfriend and a daughter. And I keep clear of him because his energy is just nasty. So anyway, a week later, he confronts me, and talking in his most authoritative tone and threatening stance, he says, you know, the way that you talked to me the other day was wrong. Da, da, da. So anyway, I still did what I needed to do for me and stood my ground and was like stuck with it. It's like, no, I didn't do anything to you. So I've already done a video on this. But just to give you an example that when we grow up, I was thinking about his daughter. I remember seeing her a couple years ago when she was an infant, and he'd always take her for a walk. And I thought to myself, oh, that's a good dad, you know, taking her for a walk in the stroller and da da da. But she has a toxic father. He's a narcissist. period. So think about this. We don't have the vocabulary to articulate what it is that we're seeing, what it is that we're feeling, absorb it, because we're also learning. Cusses out dad and hits him with a cast iron skillet in the head, but then later on, after everything's said and done, they're all lovey-dovey. We learn that love when it's not. It as children, where we learn and we run across that same type of spirit, something in us crunches, something in us tightens. Kid, and we had no verbiage. We still don't have any verbiage, even though we may have heard it on a TV show, on a movie, a talk show or something like that. Somebody's talking about it, but it's not getting up here. Hasn't set us free yet to recognize. So we have the shock and then we just shut down and we try and process it. But when you get out and you're an adult, you start repeating that soul tie. So I created this course was because while I was on the streets, that's what I kept asking myself. Why am I stuck? Much that I can do. People keep telling me how creative I am, how well spoken I am, how they like what I've said in such and such a situation. But here it is. I can't understand why I'm not doing this. Whatever it is that I'm supposed to be doing, I know what I want to do at the time, and still it is. I'm a filmmaker. So I know that this is what I do. But so I had to think about that when, and what it took was for God at that time to set off a nuclear bomb in my life where I lost everything. Lost everything and became homeless. The most embarrassing thing that I believe has ever happened to me. So I was here, I'm worried about being, right? I had no idea that I was in for the healing of a lifetime. And that's what a lot of, sometimes, people will recognize, they'll get the help, they'll go through the counseling, they'll absorb a little bit of what the counselor is telling them if they have a good counselor. Not all counselors are on the level. Most of the counselors are just there for a paycheck and that's about it, and most counselors have, some counselors have their own problems because I've had those where they have their own problems and then I end up being the counselor, but she's getting paid or he's getting paid and, I'm not. I've had counselors fall asleep on me, so I've had my issues with counselors and now I just recognize, so they have this certain purpose and that's about it. So basically, because I was one of those people where I'm very inquisitive, Irish history to, books on, religious books, spiritual books, even before, well into, from from the first time I think I could read. I was just really fascinated with books and my imagination just went wild. So I'm one of those, and I'm sure that there's others out there where you do the work so far, but you're still not getting to the root because you've perfected the art of denial and masking over those things and still inside your mind that you've just absorbed that are okay because it's not glaring. Right? When it's not glaring, we don't do anything about it. When it's just something subtle, it's like, okay, I'm going to make a grilled cheese sandwich. I burnt it too much on this side, but the other side's okay. So, it's all right. It's all right. It's edible. Right? That's how people never get into it. It's like, okay, $15 an hour, but at least I get, and you're not happy at your job. You're dealing with workplace mobbing and gaslighting, and they don't like you because, and somebody didn't, and then they get their flying monkeys on you or whatever, right? And so you're not happy at that job. But you're staying there for the benefits. And you get bubble guts every time you pull up to the site. You say a little prayer, half-ass believing that it's going to work. And you go to this job because it has benefits. Right? So, and of course it gets exhausting working on oneself. Now, there are narcissists, but working on yourself isn't narcissistic. Not narcissistic at all. Working on yourself, looking at yourself, is healing not only to you, first and foremost, but to the world. Competitive repulsion or repetitive compulsion is when you continue to replay out with people that I was on the streets with. And it was amazing. And this was before I'd even, started tuning into the people that I tune into. And I called it a loop. It's like a glitch. Like we're looping. And that's what really, imagine I haven't slept in a week, 25 miles a day. And I'm not exaggerating either. I had a pedometer or whatever you call those things on my, on one of my gadgets. So I was timing myself, but and I would see these people and because you're in their loop, right? So like a planet in orbit, because you're in their loop, they got to make a pit stop at you, at your site, at your section, because that's what they're in the loop. And if they met you at this time, they're going to try and meet. I would have people who would wear the same thing and say almost the exact same thing that they had said the last time 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I thought that I was going crazy. I really did. I thought, nope, not today, devil. Not today. We have no mental disorders. We're not dealing with this. Jiminy Christmas, but I would see them go through the same thing, so I, becoming paranoid that I would catch this, I would always journal and say, okay, we're doing this, we're doing that. I completed this step. I did this. So no, we're not in a loop. We're moving forward. And that is my phrase, move forward. The way that you move forward is by recognizing your patterns, is by recognizing that you're in a loop and having the courage to investigate why you are in a loop. Why are you going through the same types of relationship where you're devalued, you're abused verbally, physically, or sexually? Why are you going through that? Now, I never liked going through and talking about my childhood. It was like after when I was in teenage years, it's like, I'm done. I'm done. And when I'd see a counselor, because they always need somebody to talk to, because, I don't want to, it was just normal for me to want to talk to a counselor, because I never trusted somebody that called me friend to, divulge any type of information, no matter how long I'd known them. So I would set the boundaries right away with my counselor. Let you know right now, I'm not talking about my childhood. I'm over it. I've already conquered it. It's good. I'm good to go. I have things that I want to deal with right now. It wasn't until that nuclear bomb was set off that I understood how much my childhood had to do with where I currently was. Now, again, there are times where, you work on yourself, or, people who have worked on themselves and they say, okay, I get this far, because it gets tiring. Like I said, it gets tiring of working on yourself. Always thinking about you. That's what we were trained to believe, because people throw the word narcissism out there so much. That's why I just say cluster B, because if you're a narcissist, you have all the other cluster B labels. It's just, that's the way it is. But I asked God to take me through, like, I don't want to live here. I don't want to be on the streets. I don't want to be amongst, the garbage, the decay, the death, the drugs, the violence, just evil. So I asked God, I said, okay. I said, if this is where I'm at, even if it kills me, I'd rather be on my journey and heal and meet you than be in where I was in the past and just stagnant and suicidal anyway. So what God started with every situation, God started bringing things up to my mind, like, okay, remember when this happened in my childhood. So I grew up in a family with a narcissistic parent and cluster B parent. And I was the black sheep. I was the scapegoat for everything that happened. Now, my father is a sexual predator. He's a sex offender. And I was blamed for that because I wasn't attractive, according to my stepmother. Blamed for when, his Coke got vacuumed up. It's not funny now, but his cocaine was vacuumed up because he had it on a dish underneath the. I absorbed that. So I thought, okay, there's something wrong with me. So I began at a young age processing I remember I was in a 12-step, and the guy that was sponsoring me escapades. And then I can, before I even just finally labeled it celibacy. And if you've gone through sexual trauma, you end up sexually traumatizing somebody else. I said, wow. Like, I don't have any desire to do any of that. But do you see what I'm saying? That's an example of how somebody's trying to transfer their sickness to me. And because I had already been processing other people's toxicity, I absorbed that. Now, I didn't go out and do anything because I'm not like, but he was so, because it was done to me. You see what I'm saying? And that's what a lot of people think. Well, because then that's what they say. Oh, my mom did this, or my dad did this, or we used to do this, and, whatever. And sometimes they have a song in their voice when they're saying it, and it makes it sound all good and, yummy, and like, butter melting over hot toast, right? But it's not. It's toxic. But because I had their guilt, their shame, their aggressions, their sins, I spent most of my life saying, I'm done. I'll wait until the next life. People would say, oh, how beautiful I was, or how smart and intelligent I was, and da 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 da. And I mean, I would absorb it. I would laugh at it, but I had had so much toxicity that it still wasn't penetrating. So that's why I created this course. For tools that I used out here on the streets with nothing, pushing a cart, and had 3 dogs. Those things that you're still carrying, the ones that are glaring and the ones that, they're not, look at them. They're going to get bad, or they're going to get worse. And you're going to turn into one of the mini zombies that I've seen. Because normally, another thing that I thought about was, how people like to, get a little burst from a meme or a meme, however you say that. or some a reel on Instagram or something, and somebody says something, or they get a beautified picture of some actor or actress or whatever, whoever they like that they're subscribed to, and you're satisfied with that because you're watching somebody else go through it. And for a brief moment, it gives you a sense of satisfaction, maybe even longing, but not enough to propel you forward enough to see what is going on inside of you, what is holding you back from posting your own pictures by the sea, or half naked, whatever. Some of these people, boy, I tell you, I don't always want to see skin. I don't care about all that. And we're just used to getting that shot. Because this is the way that everything has been. I'm going to continue on this pattern because I'm too afraid to dance to the beat of my own drum, because I'm worried about what people are going to say in my culture. I'm worried about what my husband or wife are going to say, what my kids are going to say, what my boss is going to say. All this guilt, shame, and condemnation is keeping me down, and I have a hole inside of me that I fill up posting memes or looking at somebody's reel. Even listening to some gospel music or whatever music, or listening to a preacher or motivator for a little bit. Because I'm at a distance, I don't have to take responsibility. Nobody's holding me accountable. But what's going to end up happening, and again, been out on the streets, even not out on the streets, I have coworkers who are toxic. One lady, she'll listen for one of the sites that I'm at. She'll listen to gospel, hear it playing in her earbuds, and basically that's just a distraction because she doesn't want to talk to anybody. She doesn't want to talk to me. Towards me for some reason, I was like, I don't know. I'm not talking to you. I don't need this. It's too early in the damn morning. So I dealt with it, and now it doesn't happen, which I'm grateful for. She tuned out with gospel music. Now, when I listen to gospel music or any type of music, I'm listening to it for motivation. I download specific songs for how I'm feeling for the season. These are the type of songs that I want to listen to. When I was out on the streets, I listened to a lot of motivational clips. Things that, because my thing about me is I don't do anything. I don't bring anything into my life unless it has practical application. I'm a minimalist, modernist, as far as interior design. But, I'm a minimalist. Don't want it. So if it does not have practical application in my life, which means practical applications means that I can use it immediately. I'm not talking about when I usually listen to gospel music is because I've been under a lot of spiritual attack and I'm losing faith. So I have to be reminded that that's practical application. But those of you who like these quick fixes, you don't want to take responsibility. You don't want to pay for anything. You have all these excuses. Lovey-dovey, and I just want to be able to see the thing. There's a good side and a bad side of YouTube and all these video, hosting sites, is because yes, I've learned so much. Free training has saved me millions. As a video editor in post-production, I'm like awesome sauce, right? But when it comes to spiritual elevation, you have to because you're telling the universe, you're telling God, I am in poverty consciousness and I don't want to put anything in to change my life, to transform my life, to renew my mind and transform my world. I don't want to put anything in. I'm cool with the crumbs off the table and a little bit that's on the floor. I'm cool with that. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. That's what a lot of people are just, they're they don't want. Of course, it's hard. It's exhausting. Looking at those painful times in our chats, see people's progress. I didn't have any of that. It was me and God in the dark, you know, and I went through it. I went through the process. I allowed the revelations to come up on my mind screen, and I was like, wow. A meme is not going to keep you from turning into a demon zombie. It's not. And I say that because a lot of these people, again, come from a cluster B family on both sides. Seen a lot of cluster Bs on the streets and interacted with them, still around them. I do not attract them anymore, but I'm aware of their presence. I can identify them because I'm not the codependent type that wants to. That I understand what it means. It says in the Bible, I don't throw my pearls to swine. So I would like people to get to a point where they're willing to take the risk. They're willing to take on the hero's challenge and move forward to creating a new life for themselves by cleaning out their mental closets. That's what I had to do. And is it easy? No. I mean, there were some times where I was just like, I am so done with this right now. Don't bother me. Don't reveal anything else to me because I'm just so done with it. But like I said, now I have power. It gives you power, not this maniac power. It just gives you power over self. So now when I have people, doesn't mean that once you go through this process, which is not, you're going to keep going through it over and over and over and over again, because it's like layer of an onion. More is going to be coming up that I know God's wanting me to deal with. And I'm like, okay, as soon as you reveal it, then I can deal with it. But I'm asking, I'm willing, I'm teachable. And that's the thing, being teachable. A lot of people aren't teachable. They say, oh, I can go here and I can get that and I can do that. So I don't want any more. I don't want to pay for anything. I don't want to, I don't want to do any deep work that's going to break my pattern, break my loop, which is exactly what you're going to have to do. And I'll tell you this, if God has use for you, you either do it willingly or a nuclear bomb will be set off. And good luck. So I'm here, so don't worry about it. But anyway, so I wrote down investigating your pattern to the who, what, when, why, hows, as to why you're on your loop or on a loop, a hamster wheel, or occasional change in scenery, which is what, technology can be positive or it can be negative. It can be toxic or it can be healing. It's your intentions. What is your motivation for watching it? Does it have practical application? Does it say something ding, ding, ding? Okay, so I'm watching this, so let me research this, and how can I find this, and who can I get to coach me in this? And a lot of people just stop. They just stop. And I'm an anime lover. And, but I haven't watched anime in a long time because I've been very busy. It's not Black Clover, it's Bleach. And they had these monsters with huge gaping holes inside of them. Huge gaping holes. Whether you're an anime fan or not, watch a bit of Bleach and you'll see these monsters with these huge holes inside of them. That's what happened. Now, for me, I wasn't going to live with a hole. If I couldn't figure out what the hell was wrong with me, I wasn't going to live with the hole. Not at all. I wasn't going to allow it to mutate me. But if you're not willing to take the the leap and look at yourself, you will end up with this hole that's going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger as more people pass you by. You're going to grow bitter. You're going to marinate in that. You're going to get resentful. You're going to get vengeful. You're going to start sabotaging people, because I've seen it happen. And you're going to think that everything's okay, that it's fine, that that person deserved what they got. That's describing somebody under the cluster B disorder with these borderlines, these psychopaths. They want to be the show outs. They want all the praise and glory, but they don't want to do the work. And just for transparency, I have somebody still that stalks me and harasses me and, monitors to the best of her ability, I guess. And they're jealous. And they're in their 60s, but you haven't done anything with your life. You didn't go to God. I mean, I don't know if she did or not. But when you're jealous of somebody to the point where you would either try and sabotage or traumatize them to have them fall off, or play God and end their life, there's something wrong with you. So I want to help people by providing this course and taking them through the process, the steps that I went through to get out of that situation, to dream of having something new and better, and to give back to people who are dreaming too of something new and better, who need that support, who need that compassion, who need somebody that's going to understand them because they've already been through it. Anyway, this has been too long, but I wasn't planning on going this long. But anyway, Merry Christmas if I don't do another live again update. But you do click on the social media links if you want to. Sometimes I try and drop nuggets and updates and words of encouragement for everybody. I just posted something about doing a gratitude list. I was reminded that, to get into gratitude. And so I'm from my coach. And so now I'm doing a gratitude list all over again. And it's absolutely fabulous because I don't have to think of something. There's just so much, to be grateful for. And, if you're breathing and if you're above water, you'd be grateful for that, but strive for more. So the course, So You've Fallen, Who Said You Can't Give It Up, is $97 and out page of my YouTube channel, and check it out. At the end of the course, when you've completed all the steps, there's a link to the Facebook group. So ask to join the Facebook group. And from there, you'll get the support and weekly chats. I'm going to try and make them weekly chats and encouragement. And, I just want it to be a safe place where everybody can come and we can say, hey, this is what I've been through. This is what I'm going to do now. And, give each other words of sincerity and encouragement. So anyway, thank you again. And I will see you soon. Peace. God bless.